It's 5 AM and I am locking in. For the record, before we go any further, to understand pretty much anything I'm going to talk about in this video, I'd highly recommend you go and check out my last video that I made on Emily Swan. Trust me, this rabbit hole goes deep and it's only gotten deeper since that last video. We have some new breakthroughs on this entire situation, and not only does it pertain to Emily Swan, but it also pertains to one of the most mysterious characters in the franchise, and a character which, while we talked about it in the last video, we didn't go as in-depth as I wanted to. This is the Watcher, and how it may have some more significance to Emily Swan in the events of Borderlands 4. But before we get into this video, no, I'm not going to plug subbing to the channel. You guys have been doing great at that, by the way, so thank you so much. Instead, what I want to do is do some housekeeping from the last video. First of all, I want to give credit to Crypto. While Crypto didn't come to me with the theory that I showed off in the last video, Crypto did make one of the most original videos on Emily Swan years ago, and I didn't mention this in the video, but I should have, so I apologize for that. Please go and give Crypto the rub for that. Really, really cool find. I also quickly want to say that while this rabbit hole is extremely deep and there seems to be a lot to this theory, and it seems to be pretty concrete, I will say that it is just that. A theory. So please do not get mad at me if none of this turns out to be true when Borderlands comes out. I want to make it very clear, this is just speculation, and it's entirely possible that the new character is called Ayumi or something, and it's got nothing to do with Emily Swan. But in the event that it does, this is significant, and I have some things I want to break down in this video with you all today. So let's get into it. Since the last video, which I will keep referencing, so make sure you go watch it to get context, I've been racking my brain if there is any more info we don't know about Emily Swan. Was this girl ever referenced in the history of Borderlands other than that echolog? What about Annie Swan? Can we get any other information? And on the subject of information, what about the Watcher? Why is it that the Watcher saved Emily Swan? I've been racking my brain over and over and over again. Maybe I've been drinking too much copium sauce, but I just couldn't let it go. It seemed like there was just something more here, and no matter what I did, I couldn't seem to wrap my head around why the Watcher would save Annie Swan and Emily Swan. Why would it at least save them and then tell them to leave the planet too, right? Or the moon, as someone corrected me in the last video. Thank you for that, by the way. Why would the Watcher say leave the moon, right? To save someone is one thing, but to tell them to evacuate is another thing entirely. So I did what anybody would in this situation. I ran home to my daddy. That's right, I contacted EruptionFang and I said, hey EruptionFang, any credibility to this theory, or am I just talking straight out of my other end? Like, what is going on here? Do you actually think that this could have any credibility whatsoever? And EruptionFang did respond with the following. I think it's a near perfect theory. I don't see any reason it couldn't be her. It would add to the lore and make things feel more connected. The Guardians are becoming more and more important, and she has a direct tie to the Watcher to become actively involved in things. How many more times can we do the Siren shows up because they feel drawn to Pandora plotline? The story of a dying girl whose life was saved by a Guardian already has roots in the franchise and is an interesting origin to easily weave into the main plot, which it sounds like they're wanting to do with the Vault Hunters. It's almost so good that if it's not her, they should just rename the Vault Hunter to Emily, which at this point, Gearbox, if you're watching the video, yeah. Do it. And while EruptionFang is an absolute legend, who I'll leave a link to their channel in the description so you can go and support them, that's not why I'm making this video. I'm making this video in particular because of some discoveries that have been made since the last one. So all credit to this goes to Snooks on Twitter, who tweeted out a clip that they noticed in Borderlands 3, which has a little significance when talking about the Siren situation in Borderlands 4. The clip they shared was from DLC 4 in Borderlands 3 with Ghost Maya. If you're not up to date on the DLCs, that's going to be an info bomb. And she says something very particularly interesting about the Sirens. Take a look.
Just because there are always 6 doesn't mean they always stay the same. There's something different coming.
Now, this is an absolutely wild piece of dialogue here, because it's almost out of nowhere, and quite literally out of nowhere, because she's not in a mission in this clip that you're seeing, she's just outright in the hub of the DLC. So it's quite literally a random dialogue line. But what she says is particularly mind-boggling, because What do you mean there's something different coming? She doesn't say there's always something different. She doesn't say there's usually a twist involved. She specifically provides warning, if you will. There's something different coming. Now, either Maya here is referring to the 7th Siren, who we may learn about in Borderlands 4, or Maya is referring to one of two things. Now, the first thing is the events of Borderlands 3, because while this DLC is the last in Borderlands 3 for the mainline ones, at least before they did the director's cut and designer's cut, this technically, in Krieg's mind, is all happening before Borderlands 3, so in a way, Maya shouldn't really know about the events of Borderlands 3 in her ghost form like this. At least, that's what I would think. EruptionFang, if you're watching from above, feel free to correct me, that would be huge. So I don't think she's talking about Tyreen here, and I don't think she's talking about Troy, because that's what my mind jumps to. Is Maya talking about the fact that Troy is a fake Siren? That would be something different, certainly. And is she talking about Ava? Probably not, because again, even if she is training Ava by this point, I doubt she's referring to Ava as something different. That just seems weird, right? And she specifically says they don't always stay the same. But what does that mean? Does that mean that the number doesn't always stay the same? That the gender doesn't always stay the same? The effects don't always stay the same? She doesn't really explain it. But again, that's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is there's something different coming. What does that mean? We really don't know, at least to my knowledge, but it could be Emily Swan. Now, the reason why I think it's Emily Swan is because I'll tell you outright, I don't think Emily Swan is a Siren by typical terms. I think we're going to have kind of a repeat of the Troy Calypso situation, but I don't mean that she's going to be a leech. What I mean is that I don't think Emily Swan was born a Siren in the slightest. I think Emily Swan was made a Siren to save her life by the Watcher, but not just to save her life. I think there was a catch-22 here. I think Emily Swan was made a Siren because we're gonna need all the Vault Hunters we can get. I know that's gonna blow your mind to hear, but just wait, let me explain. If anybody is able to find me the source for what I'm about to say, that would be greatly appreciated, but I specifically remember in the past someone confirming from Gearbox that the war did not take place in Borderlands 3, and that we would require a bigger stage for that to take place. Now, it's unclear if Borderlands 4 is the war, or if Borderlands 4 is a war, but we know that the ending of pre-sequel, where the Watcher saves Athena's life, we'll come back to that by the way, huge juicy info there, we know that that takes place after the events of Borderlands 2. And so if the Watcher wasn't warning about the events of Borderlands 3, and it saved Athena's life, then what was it saving her for? She is a Vault Hunter, which again, we're going to get back into, and it is a case there of the Watcher not hurting anyone necessarily, right? The Watcher didn't hurt Lilith. It didn't hurt, Brick or Mordecai. I was going to say Roland, but he's dead. It just saved Athena, right? And then we seemingly never heard about the Watcher again in terms of an actual physical interaction. While the Watcher was referenced many times in Borderlands 3 by, for example, Scourge in the Guardian Takedown saying that the Watcher was right about the Vault Hunters, and also by Nyriad in one of her logs, which we'll get to in a second, it does make you wonder, why did the Watcher save Athena? And if Emily Swan was made by the Watcher, why? Right? Why did the Watcher make her a Siren and then tell her and her mother to get off of Elpis? So I was racking my brain around this and I was just thinking, is this just copium? Are you just riding the wave here of the theory and everybody believes it and you're just caught up in that? And I didn't even want to make another video on this because I truly just wanted to let it run its course and see where we end up with it. But then, literally tonight, a couple of hours before recording this video, it hit me like a ton of bricks. On Twitter, Penguin Bro sent me a little screenshot from the Borderlands lore comics that were released by Dark Horse Comics. Now, it's important before I show you this screenshot that these comics are not necessarily official lore by the devs. However, of course, like with anything tied to Borderlands, there would have been some form of consultation, at least that's what we would think. And Penguin Bro didn't just send me this screenshot out of nowhere, I actually requested it because I had asked if Emily Swan had at all been mentioned by Gearbox at any point in time other than the pre-sequel. Was there anything that at least acknowledged her existence? And there is. In the Borderlands comics, where they talk about the identity of the Watcher and who this Guardian is, there is a specific passage recapping their echolog from the pre-sequel that we talked about. It mentions that Annie Swan, a Dahl contractor, reported an intervention by the Watcher who saved her sick daughter Emily's life. And then it mentions that the Watcher went to save Zarpedon. And so I instantly was just like, oh my god. Right? Even if this is not official Gearbox stuff, the fact that Dark Horse referenced this in this comic, you would think they at least had to get this fact checked by someone at Gearbox, which means this has to be significant information, whether or not it was written by Sam Winkler or whether or not it was written by someone at Dark Horse, okay? This needs to be significant because if it wasn't, why would it be in this entry about the Watcher? But that's not all is in this entry. It talks about Nyriad and a log in Borderlands 3 from one of her slabs which says, "There was a single Guardian present when I killed the Eridians. It stood and watched from above us in that mechanical crypt. It merely watched." It also does detail in here that when Zarpedon had contact with the Watcher warned her about Hyperion's intentions. And so I have all of these different avenues coming at me and I'm thinking, this is cool, but it seems kind of a nothing burger because it's all just stuff we know. And then it hit me again. Oh my god, there is significance to every single event where the Watcher has been present. These aren't just random interactions. We have nothing, no echolog of the Watcher jumping in to save Scooter's life. We have nothing of the Watcher stopping the bullet that almost killed Roland. We've got nothing apart from 4 interactions now. 4 recorded interactions which detail the Watcher saving lives. Are you noticing the pattern yet? In Borderlands the pre-sequel, the Watcher attempts to save Zarpedon's life at the start of the game when Jack tries to kill her. Post Borderlands 2, the Watcher saves Athena because she's almost assassinated by the Crimson Raiders. When Nyriad is fighting the Eridians, the Watcher is merely watching from above to see what happens. And before Emily Swan can lose her life, the Watcher saves her and tells Annie to get her and her daughter off of Elpis. If you're not already picking up what I'm putting down, let me spell it out for you. In almost every single situation where the Watcher has gone out of its way to help people, to protect people, it has been somebody who is trying to do something good. For example, to my knowledge, Nyriad killed the Eridians to seal the destroyer in the Great Vault. The Watcher simply watched as this happened because it knew that this would seal the destroyer and keep everybody safe. In Borderlands the pre-sequel, the Watcher protects Colonel Zarpedon when Jack tries to kill her, but only at the start of the game. Later on in the game, after we learn that Zarpedon has already seen inside of the vault, the Watcher doesn't save her this time, maybe thinking that she's been corrupted by the vault. Post Borderlands 2, when Athena, now having left Handsome Jack and making it clear that she wants no part in what he's trying to do, or rather was trying to do, the Watcher protects her, stopping her from being killed, and mentioning that we're going to need all of the Vault Hunters we can get. And this is of course after the events of the Watcher saving Emily Swan and Annie Swan and telling them to get off of the moon. The very same moon, by the way, that Zarpedon, another protected asset of the Watcher, was trying to destroy, and the same moon that just happened to be the key to the Great Vault, which we learn in Borderlands 3. If you're not already picking up on the pattern here, I will quite literally spell it out for you before I go into more detail. Whether or not this is just a coincidence is one thing, but it's important that we go over it anyway. Zarpedon, Athena, Nyriad, Emily. These names when connected are an anagram for the word Zane, who is present in the Borderlands 4 trailer. Additionally, every single person that the Watcher has saved to our knowledge has been a female. And finally, the most important piece of information, the Watcher, again, has protected every single person it believed was doing good. Apart from Emily Swan, we don't know why it tried to save Emily Swan, but given the dialogue at the end of Borderlands the pre-sequel, which we know in actual chronological order is technically the end of Borderlands 2, this would have been when the Watcher said you're going to need all the Vault Hunters you can get, and it's a little weird to me that we've never heard from Emily Swan, but yet they were saved by the Watcher. If it sounds like this is copium, that's great, because it absolutely is, and let me be clear, this is just one big mega brain theory that could either be completely right or completely wrong, but what you should take away from this is that the Watcher is a simp. Okay, I'm only kidding, but seriously, this is crazy. There's so many lines to connect here, and I just want to know what you guys think of it in the comment section down below, because there's just way too many coincidences here. All of the people that the Watcher has saved, it's an anagram for the word Zane, which I think is completely unintentional, by the way. I just think that's funny that Zane's in the BL4 trailer. This Siren in the BL4 trailer might be Emily Swan. Emily Swan might be connected to the Watcher. The anagram spells Zane. I think that's just hilarious. I don't actually think that's anything significant. But what I do think is extremely significant is that the Watcher has only ever protected people that it felt was actually trying to basically save the world. Again, quick recap here. Zarpedon trying to blow up the moon. The moon was the key to open the Great Vault, which would set free the Destroyer. It protected Nyriad, or seemingly was going to protect Nyriad, when Nyriad was trying to kill all of the Eridians to seal the Destroyer away. It then protected Athena, who made it clear she wanted no part of what Handsome Jack was doing or had done, and it stopped her from dying, right? And it encouraged the Vault Hunters to work with Athena. So we right here have now got multiple instances of the Watcher making its intentions clear, but we still don't know why it saved Emily Swan, and the only conclusion I can come to that actually makes sense in the lore is that Emily Swan was a Vault Hunter, and her mother knew that, which is why Nurse Nina took care of her. And when Nurse Nina could no longer do that, the Watcher stepped in at the last moment and healed Emily Swan. This is also probably why, in this screenshot here, which we showed off in the last video, the little wing that's coming off of Emily Swan's shoulder has Eridium engravings into them, or that weird Eridium Guardian marking on it that we see in so many of the rocks around the world of Borderlands. If this is not the case, and Emily Swan is nowhere to be seen in Borderlands 4, and that Siren is someone completely different, then this is the weirdest lineup of sense-making theories I have ever seen in any video game ever. It makes almost too much sense, to the point where it would be a little cringe to just go ahead and do it off of this, because everything is just so on the nose, including that anagram, which is just weird, right? But anyway, without a doubt, that's going to be the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I really want your thoughts on this, because I truly think this is not significant, but extremely significant. And I think we're probably at the bottom of the barrel now on all of this Emily stuff until we get official confirmation of who this mystery Siren is in Borderlands 4. But even if this isn't Emily Swan now, there's one thing you need to take away from this video, and it's that the Watcher is now more significant than ever, because we now have a clearly established motive. We know that the Watcher is not working against us, and we can determine that by its actions in the past, unless it all of a sudden just does a weird U-turn, which I highly doubt is going to happen. The Watcher is a protector. It is protecting the state of the world, and it makes you wonder, if the Vault Hunters ever encroach onto that, are we all of a sudden an enemy of the Watcher? But yes, without a doubt, that's going to be the end of this video, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support on the channel. It has been legitimately crazy. Like, I'm actually just blown away. It's the most support I think we've ever received ever, which is just wild. So thank you to everybody that has been just, like, my Twitter has just been blown up. Like, if you've been tweeting me on Twitter and I haven't responded to you, it's because my Twitter is non-functional. I am getting hundreds of notifications a day to the point where I can't respond to people. So if I don't respond to you, I'm really, really sorry. But the amount of you that have been tweeting stuff at me, liking the video, subscribing, is just absolutely incredible. And I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you here. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll check you in the next one. Bye!